Hello and welcome to the wonderful world of old sheet music. I am your host, Nicholas Carroll. Tonight I am looking at this large and old and very not great shape piece. This is called Ripples of the Alabama Polka in Concert by Henry Hertz Andrews. Now, if you try to look up Henry Hertz Andrews, you will find literally nothing about him except this particular piece. There is a famous classical composer, and by famous I mean famous to music students and musicologists, not the average person, named Henry Hertz, who was Austrian and Parisian and knew Robert Schumann, a couple famous other composers. This, I have found no reason to believe, is the same person. This is probably someone else. Maybe he was named after Henry Hertz because, his first name is Henry and the middle name is Hertz, so could be. I don't know, I'm just speculating. But anyway, there's nothing to be found about this particular composer. This is Denhof Music Supply House, which is a Tin Pan Alley company. This is kind of in pieces, so I'm trying to look at it without destroying it more, but it does have copyright of 1902 was when it was published. This particular edition is from 1912, so it's not the first edition, but still quite old. It does have actually a poem here that is, I guess, what the piece was based on. The poem is: "Gilded by the sunshine glimmer, silvered by the moonbeam's glow, 'tis the rippling Alabama with its soft melodious flow. Happy days for folks and master, laughing, singing, banjo chimes, the old steamer on the river, tooting Robert E. Lee all times. Cotton bales piled high and higher, all aboard the captain cry, I'm off, honey, Alabama, don't forget me by and by. Grand are the crops of Alabama, beautiful its ladies, all great its statesmen, noble ever, fond of them in home and hall, rich its farms with golden harvest, and its cities best since birth, never call it poor old Dixie, 'cause it's the richest spot on earth." So, of course, it has some racist undertones there, pretty clear reference to slavery when it talks about master and how wonderful and idyllic of a scene this was. At the same time, of course, other people are enslaved. So that is the poem. Now, the song itself does not have lyrics, so that poem is not matched to lyrics in a song. This song is kind of like a character piece. Clearly, as they're a little bit advanced compared to some of these other songs, this is probably supposed to sound like the river, the ripples, I presume. And it is quite lengthy, so I will try to perform it. It says the polka. It has many different sections. It has this intro, it has an interlude, and then it has the tempo of the polka. It is quite involved, that it has lots of octaves and jumping around. So it is in a very difficult key, changes keys actually 3 times here just by looking through it. I have not heard it, I have not practiced it. I will see how I do, but that is the background. a very typical salon style piece, which means it was written to be, I guess fancy is a good way to put it, for the performer to show off a little bit, but it's also written in such a way that it's easy to memorize. It's actually a lot easier than it sounds in some ways. Like there's a lot of these passages like this. They're just octaves. So if you practiced a lot of stuff like that, the second time you played through it, it would actually be pretty simple to memorize that, and it just sounds so fancy. Look at me. You know, so it's not actually super hard to play, but it's more of a way to make it sound hard and impress your listener. So overall, I didn't think the melody was particularly interesting. It was just a whole lot of jumping around, tons of octave jumping. But again, it's kind of like visual. You know, you're performing in one of these salons, so you're trying to get the audience all, look at me, I'm jumping all over the keyboard, I'm using every key, wow, kind of thing. So clearly it was written with that in mind. So I feel even more confident in saying this is not the Henry Hertz I'm familiar with as a classical composer. It doesn't suit his style at all, but rather Henry Hertz Andrews, somebody probably named after the other composer. And there you have it, The Ripples of the Alabama, which in this particular picture looks like it's more of a stream than a river.